You have to really, really go out there and fight and take what's yours. And it's more like survival of the fittest. Before 9/11, you can get a job at a store in the mall with just your visa, your international passport. But like all that changed. But one thing, I always advise people is if you plan to come to US and stay, educate yourself. Knowledge is key, and be always ready to adapt to situation. Like I did a lot of under the field job. I work at a gas station, and in frigid cold weather. Back then, you work at a gas station. Nobody really cares about your documents. Security was popular among Nigerians. Nigerians actually dominated the security. And when I say security, you know what I mean, right? By security. No matter what, it's all about people, and you being able to identify the right person that can help, foster or drive your own goal. But like everything stems off of like being able to at least adapt and survive.
It's possible to actually go to any country in diaspora, not necessarily the USA, and actually be able to succeed. But an element of that is the drive and the tenacity and the ability to try to make things work, even when things are difficult, without necessarily doing something bad.
Like we Nigerians, we pride ourselves a lot, which is a good thing, right? But there's a fine line between pride and ego. They were actually targeting immigrants, undocumented immigrants, because the people, the Americans themselves, how can you guys help me? It was like, oh, in 6 months you get your green card. I'm like, you're kidding me. Delay is not denial. But look at how everything actually turned out. So yeah, I'll say, all glory to God.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians. I'm your host, Brodda Mike.
Today, I have the pleasure with me of introducing you guys a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, and someone who I admire. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our guest. Hello, sir. How are you today?
How you doing, bro? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. How is New Jersey today?
It's pretty cold, but greetings from the East Coast.
The weather can be quite chilling there. Have you guys had any snow yet?
Not yet, but in a matter of weeks, it should start rolling in.
So I wanted to kind of, if you don't mind giving us a quick background. So how much familiarity do you have of Lagos?
Well, I'll say quite enough. As you know, like I grew up not too far from Lagos, about 33, 40 miles from Lagos, Ibadan to be precise. And of course, Lagos is the major hub in Nigeria, also West Africa as a whole. So yes, mean, I'm more familiar with Lagos, understand the dynamics of Lagos, did business in Lagos, engage different people in Lagos. So Eko Nibaje, and yeah.
Cool, that's awesome. So what part of Lagos precisely? And what are your fond or not very fond memories of Lagos?
Personally, all my run around in Lagos has always been like Ipaja area, Ikeja area, and satellite area, and some part of Apapa as well. So I think I touched quite some interesting places in Lagos, and yeah.
Speaking about Ikeja, the capital of Lagos, the fact that Ikeja is bustling and it's also very, very commercial in nature, would you consider that with New Jersey? Are there any parallel?
Actually, the fun thing about Ikeja, and Ikeja, Alausa area and all that. It depends on what part of Jersey. As you know, Jersey is very big, and the lifestyle. Each part of Jersey has its own attributes. Central Jersey, more progressive. South Jersey, more laid back. North Jersey, a little bit more aggressive, but not as aggressive as the New Yorkers. So, I'll say North Jersey, I can actually look compare that with Ikeja in terms of they also the grind, the fast pace, and also the people you deal with, the way they engage and interact with you.
So the liberals versus the Republican, I guess is the word. I wouldn't think of Ikeja at all, or Lagos for that matter, in such context. But I do like the correlation that you're making. It's quite an interesting correlation, to be quite honest.
Yes, yes. I mean, one thing about Lagos, I mean, honestly, I'll say with the experience I have with Lagos and the experience I have with New York, you go to New York, you can find any tribe or any group of people. The same thing with Lagos. I mean, Lagos is like no man's land. Anything you can think of or imagine, if you look well, you will find it in Lagos. Same goes with New York, and I think that's one of the things that actually makes Lagos special. The ability for anyone to come in and to be able to at least create his or her own space, adapt quickly, blend in with the system, and start grinding.
Is there a parallel with New Jersey? I mean, I've been to New Jersey a couple of times, and I know well, the part of New Jersey I've been to, more like southern New Jersey, Um, one thing that quickly comes to mind to me, with due respect to the Jerseyans, listening to this, is that some part of Jersey can be quite dirty. So to me, that kind of thinks of Lagos. It reminds of Lagos. Number one. Number two, in terms of the similarity, Lagos, New York, New Jersey, the New York being a melting pot, I feel like New Jersey could be, but there's you have a part of New Jersey whereby it's primarily dominated by Italians. You have other parts of New Jersey that's primarily dominated by the Eastern European, Russian, Ukraine. Then you also have parts of New Jersey whereby you have like the Arabs. So unlike New York or Lagos, whereby it's kind of a mixing pot, would you tend to agree with that?
Not quite, because I mean, honestly, in terms of dirtiness, no matter where you go to, no matter where you go to in this world, I mean, yes, I mean, you're going to find like the pristine places, super clean, super neat, super structured, super organized. And on the other hand, there's always downside to everything. I mean, you find I mean, I hate to use the word the hood, but let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is, and the same thing applies to Lagos. I mean, the lifestyle of the people in Ajegun, you can't compare with people that live in GRA, VI, Lekki, and all that place. So, every part of the world has, I mean, it's just like that all over. Let's face the fact. And, Jersey is special too. I mean, one thing that most people forget is New York City. I mean, when people say New York, I mean, they usually refer to New York City. And we all know, the cost of living in New York. I mean, how densely populated New York is. So, I mean, I'll say, I mean, roughly 60 to 65% of people that works in New York actually lives in Jersey. So I mean, so again, I mean, that kind of the New York mannerism, the New York style, the New Yorker, the term New Yorker. I mean, you tend to see that all over Jersey, New Jersey, New York. They're both located. We call it in the handpits of United States, very close to the Atlantic.
So you came here to the States, New Jersey, trying to figure things out. Which of your experiences would you say was one that kind of make you realize, oh my God, I need to figure everything out and I need to be on my toes? Because Jersey is quite a difficult place. I would imagine for some kid just coming, from Nigeria.
I mean, coming from Nigeria, we all look at coming to US as the land of milk and honey. So of course, not only that you don't want to let yourself down, you don't want to let your people down, and you don't want to let people that actually invested in you to make sure that they give you like a better chance at life, and just for you to kind of like forge your own path and make something good out of it and be able to at least show for it. One thing for me is when I first got here, things were like a little bit slow, lay back, and of course the Nigerian population in Jersey is quite strong as well, but roughly a year after, when 9/11 happened, things took a 180-degree turn, and everything just changed like that. So it's more like now you have to really really go out there and fight and take what's yours, and it's more like survival of the fittest, because now jobs that like Africans are not like really running after, I mean, now you have competitors. You've got our friends, our Caribbean friends going after it, Hispanic friends going after it, even the Caucasians going after it. You just have to, grind, and no matter what landed on your lap, make the best out of it and just keep striving for more.
How about, some folks come here and they're like, oh, if you go to New York, there are ways to make things happen. So let's say somebody comes here, maybe it's not fully documented, whatever. And a lot of people are like, okay, you have to go to New York, you have to go to New Jersey. Vis-a-vis the Lagos lifestyle, you can hustle, you can kind of make things happen. How would you speak to that part of that experience?
I'll tell you, it's not easy. Definitely not easy. Most especially after 9/11, because pre 9/11, I mean, you can come to New York, New Jersey, even if you're not documented. I mean, there's still people that hire you to do like hard jobs that pays, no, I won't say, decent money. You understand? And like after like post 9/11, everything changed. The scrutiny set in. Regulation became more tighter, and also with regards to illegal aliens, call them aliens, undocumented workers, or people here on visiting stuff. Because I usually, like, when you hear before 9/11, you can get a job at a store in the mall with just your visa, your international passport, but like all that changed. But one thing, I always advise people is if your plan to come to US and stay, educate yourself. Knowledge is key, and be always ready to adapt to situation. But the most important thing is education. Be at alert as always. Stay working. Even you're sleeping, stay working. Because you tend to learn a lot just by observing people. The way they move, the way they talk, the way they react to situations, and all those things, they do actually come handy down the line. But education is key. No matter like how small, either you go to a technical school, a county college, education is key, because that's going to increase your chance of success.
So speaking of the, things like illegal aliens, undocumented aliens, whatever. Like I remember when I first came, and I wasn't technically able to get like an official job, the other opportunities that were open to me that I could do some, like under table jobs and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if you've had any similar experiences personally, obviously when you came pre 9/11, and what's your experience in that regard?
I did a lot of under the table job. I work at a gas station, and in frigid cold weather. Back then, you work at a gas station. Nobody really cares about your documents. They just give you like a quick 30-minute crash course, and how to push the button, pump the gas, and make sure the money is secured, and making sure you know how to turn on and turn off the pump, the safety measures to make sure there's no disaster at this gas station. So I did that for a very long time. And while I was doing that, I was also going to school. So back then, the best job for a student is a night security job, all right? Because that kind of just free time for you to study, to relax, and at the same time get your job done. Security was popular among Nigerians. Nigerians actually dominated the security. And when I say security, you know what I mean, right? By security, just your regular watchman, manning the gates, checking lights and making sure things are where it's supposed to be, recording it, documenting it, and escalating situations when needed. So yes, I did security for quite amount of time, and it was very helpful. Through security, I was able to at least I get myself through college, and but again, I mean, I'm gonna keep stressing it. As a beginner, as a JJC, it's good to at least have some little money in your pocket, but your number one focus is at least getting education. Education, and I'm a testament to it because it's really, 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 really help out down the line.
What American experience did you have that was like, oh my God, you're kind of at the limits of your wit end?
One thing I'm very, very conscious of my environment. I can be in the midst of like 20 people, maybe not say a word, but trust me, I mean, I can read body language. I mean, I know what's moving, who's talking to who's able to do what, and I'm recording all that. When time comes, I mean, I'm able to kind of like leverage that for my own personal use. A good example, I could be like in a group of people. All I do is make yourself known. You don't like have to be very loud. Make yourself known, introduce yourself, create that familiarity, and just study that person. If you feel like there's a mutual benefit that you can get by getting to know that person later, you further create that connection. And you need someone to help with let's say buying cars or buying commodity stuff to Nigeria, and this person is well reputable, knows how to do it, reach out to them. I mean, but the thing with people is like the way you approach them, the way you engage them, and the way you make your intent known. I mean, like, it's kind of like soften them. And like them hearing from you, see, like they feel your energy, they kind of let their guard down and they kind of like show you the rope. Because, I mean, as you know, like New Jersey, New York, Nigerians, I mean, they have this reputation of like, we call them scammers and those Yahoo stuff. But like, I mean, in a small, you make your intention known and like you let them, I mean, know what you are about. I mean, it's good. It's good. I mean, like in Jersey alone, I was able to engage people that were in real estate, earlier on. I was able to engage people that were like, I did a lot of things from, even like engaging
Wow.
young boys in the community. They love jerseys, like throwback jerseys. That's what we called them back in the days. I was able to make connection with some guys that brings this stuff in. I mean, we call them mass product. So like at those
No,
throwback jersey, you get it for like maybe like $15. You flip it for like $30, $45. I mean, like like all those adds up. And I was able to at least gather. I mean, I'm not a flashy guy. I save a lot, so I was able to accumulate a whole lot of to put myself through school, maintain myself, and also help people around me that I can. So I mean, I guess the gist is like I mean, no matter what, it's all about people, and you being able to identify the right person that can help foster or drive your own goal. But it has to be mutual though, because you just don't want to be like a parasite. Let people let them know what you can offer, and let them know your intention of what you're chasing and how they can help you. Don't let them tell you what they can do for you. You tell them what you need, right? You set the baseline of what you need and let them come back to what they can do for you. If you feel like they can do more, you push the envelope.
So there's also, I mean, at one point I thought you'd mentioned to me about, driving with an international driver's license. Do you mind sharing that story with our audience and also for those, yeah, for those that are here, yeah.
Oh, yes. I mean, like there's a lot. I mean, I haven't been in the state for going to 22 years. I mean, like there's a lot of life experience that I can't even recall. A lot, but like everything stems off of like being able to at least, adapt and survive. Because you can't live in Jersey without being able to move around.
Right.
Most people know that. One of the perks of living in New York City is access to public transport. Jersey, it's not the same way. And for a young guy, having to go to school, work in security, and at least trying to move around, be social, interact with people, make friends.
For transportation, yeah.
You need to be mobile because you can't rely on those buses and those trains. And Nigerians are very resourceful, right? And it's more like you. I mean, like you have this bottleneck, you have this issue, and you've spoken to a lot of people, and you've heard like how they were able to go around it. And for my at that point in time, international driver's license was the solution to the problem I was having right now, right there, right there.
Yeah, it was tenable. You could tender it.
So I mean, like with the international driver's license, I mean that kind of like crack that hurdle that I was facing at that point in time. Not only that I was able to be mobile, I was actually able to actually do more class, take more classes in school, and also I was able to even network
Hmm.
because I mean I'm gonna keep saying this like meeting people goes a long way, but the thing is like when you meet people, create an impression that's gonna make them remember you even
Mm.
even when you're not there. Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, yes, it's not all about who you know that helps. It's who knows you. I mean, their last impression of you. I mean, that's why you see like out of nowhere people reach out to you like, "Oh, guy, how you doing? Yeah, it's me. We spoke about this, and like I have this situation. This is something you're interested in. Let's chop it up over dinner." And that's it. That's how things start. But you were able to get that done because of the connection and the impression that you made, and you let them know what your intentions are, and just leave it. Leave it. I mean, just leave it at that. And it's always going to come to you.
Thank you. No, that's definitely good. I don't even know anymore if the international driver's license is a thing that is being issued right now. I really am not close to that, so I can't speak to that. I also don't know how, how much somebody can get away with that anymore. Because I know back in the day, I myself is something I had requested for, to have DHL to me from Lagos.
Yeah, I mean, like they closed all that loophole. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's not possible lately. And of course, because of all the crazy events and how the world has changed. And I mean, I don't blame the system. They have to take serious measures to at least make sure that people continue to stay safe. Those were loopholes that people didn't know about at that point in time, and but now, I mean, you cannot drive in US with an international driver's license.
My question is for the audience, what we are trying to do by sharing these stories is to let them know that it's possible to actually go to any country in diaspora, not necessarily the USA, and actually be able to succeed. But an element of that is the drive and the tenacity and the ability to try to make things work, even when things are difficult, without necessarily doing something bad. So part of your one of the things you and I talked about previously is that you had an encounter with the military, like the US military. You almost joined. Do you mind sharing that story and how that came about?
Yes, I would love to. But before I go into that, I mean, one other thing I want to call out. I mean, like we Nigerians, we pride ourselves a lot, which is a good thing, right? But there's a fine line between pride and ego, right? I mean, like this is one of the things I learned early on when I came here. I mean, like don't don't have the mindset of judging people or thinking you're better than someone based on their look or based on the way they talk or the way they engage. Like be open minded. Be open minded. Don't be like I can't talk to this person. Like oh, this one it's like my younger brother or my numini and stuff like that. No, that could be like the key to unlock something that you need to actually propel you to the next phase. So I mean, always keep an open mind. Humble, and transparency is going to get you a long way. It may take a while for it to actually manifest, but eventually, it pays off. Trust me, it pays off. Great. And back to your question. Sorry to digress a little bit. Back to your question. Yes, I mean you were aware of the whole event of 9/11, how hard it became for immigrants because of the tightened security and stuff like that. And I mean, as someone like I am very ambitious, but I know from get go, like for me to start to achieve my goals, education is the key, to unlock that. So, yes, I really need to get my papers. I really need to go to school. Truth be told, I actually started going to school without a legit paper. But to me, my calculation was more like worst case scenario, right? I'm not gonna get a certificate, but like all the knowledge and all the tools I need to at least present myself, to engage and sell myself, be it Nigeria, be it where else I find myself, if it doesn't work out, I know I have that foundation laid out. That's one. And also, knowing me, I'm always working in terms of like, okay, this is the situation. This is what I'm doing right now to at least mitigate. But like, how do we go from mitigation to actually solving it? And luckily enough, back in 2002, early 2002, when the war started with Afghanistan and the whole Iraq war, the recruitment to join the military intensified a lot. So one of the perks that the military recruiters were given, they were actually targeting, truth be told, they were actually targeting uh, immigrants, undocumented immigrants, because the people, the Americans themselves, they didn't want to go to war. So the whole thing, it was on. I was working for Nobody Beats the Wisdom, and this group of guys just walked in, just walking around, and I asked them, "Do you need help?" Because I was working as a stockroom guy back then. All right, and it was like, "Oh, we're just shopping around. What's your name?" So from my accent, they can pick it up. This guy is like, they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I go to school." "What school do you go to?" We just started talking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I like your vibe." I'm like, "Yo, thank you." We exchanged contact. So the following day, he called me. I was like, "Hey, what you doing? You want to grab some drinks?" I'm like, "Drinks? Okay." Mm-hmm. I get off work at this time, but it has to be something close. No, don't worry, we'll pick you up.
Wow, even better.
And this guy showed up, and they picked me up. Mm-hmm. We went to Uno. Mm-hmm. Grabbed some drinks and we started talking. I'm like, "Yeah, what's it like with the whole, like, what do you think about the military?" I'm like, "Oh, it's good. Mm-hmm. The pride and all that stuff, and like the work that you get, very recommendable." Mm-hmm. So we were just talking, and the guy was like, "What are your plans?" I'm like, "I'm in school." I'm like, "Why are you working over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, just going to school." So I think they were able to read my body language. They were like, "Are you an international student?" Then I paused for a minute. I'm like, "Sort of." And it was like, "What do you mean, sort of?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to school as international student, but I don't have the papers to actually, legit." He was like, "Oh, we can solve that for you." I'm like, "How?" It's like, "Are you interested in joining the Marines?" I'm like, joining the Marines. I'm like, "I respect what you guys do, but like, apart from me serving the Marines, how can you guys help me?" It was like, "Oh, in 6 months you get your green card." I'm like, "You're kidding me."
Jason.
I'm like, "What do I have to do?" I'm like, "What do I have to do?" It was like, "Oh, let's start about you doing the quantitative test." Went in, did that, smashed it. Did like a physical, whatever. Did the workouts for them, like smashed that. Did another assessment, did all that. There was another test they made me do. And meanwhile, these guys, they were actually picking me from home. They take me to work, and after work, they pick me up. They were the one driving me to all this test and buying me lunch, and now we became friends.
Yeah.
Good friends.
Wow.
Right, but it wasn't only me then. It was like group of us. But again, when the time came for me to sign, I had to run it by my parents. But my mother wasn't too. As much as she loved the United States, I don't think she felt comfortable with me joining the Marines. So we kind of killed that. But yeah, that was a very interesting story. And and one thing about life is, like we human beings, we have aspirations. We tend to want to forge our own path. But I'm not trying to be too religious on your podcast.
No, you're
But
fine.
God is the one that ordained. God has his own part for us. I mean, 2 out of the 4 people that were both doing all those things together actually died in the war in Afghanistan.
Wow. Oh, so you never went. You never went. You killed that.
Yeah. So I mean, but again, yeah, continue to stay aggressive, but at the end of the day, you have to put everything into God's hand. Because there's something I picked up from someone which kind of like runs deep. It says a delay is not denial.
Delay is not denial.
Delay is not denial. But look at how everything actually turned out. So yeah, I'll say, all glory to God.
That's good. That's good. No, as we wrap things up here, do you have any final thoughts here? I mean, obviously, this has been loaded with a lot of nuggets for those who are new, or even for those who have been in Diaspora for quite some time.
Actually, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mean, we keep saying diaspora, but most of the people in diaspora, they don't have plans to actually go back to Nigeria, which I think everybody needs to start reassessing and reevaluating that. One or two things people need to actually start going back home. I mean, we've all been on this journey for years now. We've been blessed, both financially by the grace of God, and also with knowledge and life experience that we've all acquired from a developed world. So the fate of our country, some of it actually lies on us. So whatever you can do, no matter what the situation is, whatever the challenges you're facing in Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, yes, I know there's a whole bunch of challenges for you to establish or do business over there. All the factors that actually challenge small business, the monopoly in the countries, all the macro and micro forces that doesn't really support small businesses. You really have to look beyond that. You really have to get your hands dirty, go in there, understand the system. Because one thing I'm going to call out is home that you left 20 years ago is different from what it is now. But for you to actually make an impact, you have to go and understand the dynamics and how things work. With the knowledge that you've acquired, you should be able to bridge all the gaps that you're seeing and at the same time forge your own path and get involved. A dot can become a circle, can become a spear, but you have to start from somewhere. So I'm going to use this media to just encourage all the people in diaspora, make it a priority. Make it a priority to at least visit. Don't just be oh, Nigeria, the security issue, the light issue, the legal issue, all the, people, the infrastructure is not there, but it has to start from somewhere. And the fate of our country, I'm going to say it again, depends on us that are fortunate enough to be in countries like US, Germany, Canada. All what we've seen, the ways of working, ways of doing business, ways of impacting society, instilling change, we need to take it back home and start laying the foundation. It may not be for our generation, but for the generations to come.
Wow, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. Folks, that does it for us on this episode of Lost Lagosians. Please follow us on Twitter at Lost Lagosians. Please share. Now we are on YouTube right now. Also, please look us up on YouTube. The name of our channel on YouTube is Lost Lagosians. Please feel free to engage, comment, and for those of you listening to the podcast, please feel free to rate this podcast and leave us some comments. Suggestions are welcomed. Please go ahead and subscribe. Send us a suggestion. Please go ahead and send an email to lostlagosians@gmail.com. lostlagosians@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you at the next episode. Bye now.